ARCC Resett TV Talk. This is your host, Point, working as a community support coordinator at ARCC, and you are watching us live from Auckland, New Zealand. So over the years, Aotearoa New Zealand has accepted individuals and families from forced migrant background from different continents and regions such as Africa, Asia, Europe, Latin America, and the Middle East, with first arrivals in 1930s. And Aotearoa New Zealand resettlement process has been a successful journey for many people in achieving more stable life. At ARCC, we continuously work hard to add value to the current resettlement system here in Aotearoa, New Zealand through guidance, capability development, and advocacy. So one of those is launching this new resident magazine to share the success resettlement stories with different resettled communities, service providers, and also with the local neighborhoods. It recognizes those who have navigated positive education and employment pathways over the years to highlight potential avenues to successful settlements. First of all, I would like to introduce the guests whose stories were featured in our very first New Resident magazine. So this is Faisal Yusuf, who is originally from South Sudan. And
it's good. Take him from Sudan to South Sudan. That's wonderful.
Yeah,
Sudan
that's
to South
Because we are
Sudan.
one country, but we say in Sudan. We don't like to say South Sudan and Sudan. We say Sudan.
Sudan. And who has called New Zealand home for 8 years.
Yeah.
And he is also a community support worker at ARCC.
Yeah.
And this is Asif Ahmed, who was born in Pakistan and working as a community engagement officer at ARCC together with his lovely wife, Tayaba Asif, a youth lead and a freelance photographer. And Aban Kayor, who is a community advocate, educator, author, and CEO of ARCC. He has over 16 years of community service experiences in New Zealand resettlement sector. So, Aban, what is the purpose of this New Resident magazine?
Thank you, Point. It's a direct question. The purpose of the magazine over the years, I think ARCC trying to find a way how can add value to the new arrival. So we have new resettled community who are really become successful within the New Zealand context. Through the resettlement, we found out that there are a lot of the stories that never been shared. And over the years as well, we find that our stories is not being told the way how we want it, which is meaning our own voice. So ARCC being able to find a way that how we will be able to add value to the resettlement services. So we has taken initiative to produce tools, which is we are calling it now is a new resident magazine when we become New Zealanders. So now becoming a New Zealander is something many people are confused about. So with this magazine is two part of it. One, we are advocating on behalf of those new residents. At the same time, we are educating them for their right when they arrive in New Zealand here. Because within the resettlement, there is a lot of confusion when people arrive here. And one of the challenge many people who found within in New Zealand include myself here is that the label or the terminology that has been used as a refugees while we are citizens of this country. Many are missing out for having better understanding what is the entitlement within a New Zealand context. So the magazine simply is that when people arrive in Mangere Resettlement Center, the magazine will be able to distribute it to them, and also to where settlement location they've been allocated. So the magazine have different part of it. First of all, Maori welcoming, which is mean we adopted the Maori Manakitanga principle of care, respect, love, which is to treat our new resident with respect when they arrive in New Zealand. And the second part of it is that ARCC welcoming message, also for them to have better understanding. There are people who before us, and now they are welcoming us in their own tune, which is beautiful. The third is about the articles, which is explaining the process of the resettlement from the country of origin, refugees host country, and also within New Zealand, how people being able to pursue their successful life in New Zealand. The main part of the magazine is just the storytellers. And those storytellers, those who've been able to navigate the system within New Zealand, where they achieve education, they achieve work opportunity, some of them they buy a house, which is great. We're gonna hear it later. And the other part of it as well is just ensuring that our new arrival, they have correct and accurate information from those who've been before them. So those stories really give a foundation of New Zealand is the best country in the world who they hope to settle in. The third one is just the ARCC chairperson, the closing remark to really also to welcome new resident, new arrival, and also giving them the glimpse of the beauty of New Zealand by saying, welcome, this is new home, your new home, and making sure that you reach out in order for you to get support. You're not alone, people surround you, service providers surround you, and just reach out and we will be there to support. Also, we have given our contact as our organization to ensure as well how we will be able in assisting them to resettle well in New Zealand. So I hope I answer your question, but it's a really beautiful question, and thank you.
Yes. It's a really rich answer.
Yeah.
And from the key message,
Yeah.
I've read that as a new resident of Aotearoa, New Zealand, we embrace you with love, kindness, and respect for who you are. Welcome to your new home. So can you explain more deeper about this quotation?
I think the beauty about New Zealand is that that's just me as a band. My connection when I arrived here, it did not come just easily, but after 8 years working in the community, I find out that when I engage with more institutions, and I find myself being a native African within indigenous context, I find myself is really navigating the way how the Maori values is respect every individual, where you're coming from and who you are. And when I track my ancestry and also my background, I find myself, all the journey I was really confused, but they set up the theme for me to be who I am and where I come from, and finding the opportunity, some things I need to look back to say every individual person who comes to New Zealand through resettlement, they have their own indigenous background, because if you are coming from Africa, everyone knows Africa is the old land, and if you come from Asia, you are in the title of your indigeneity as well. If you come from South America, or whatever a place you come and you arrive in New Zealand, or you reach to Australia, you reach to Canada or US, all those are the countries which is the land of the indigenous. So the indigenous length of culture is really tied up what I really, really love in terms of the cultural values. That's why you see always I talk about Menakitanga, Kaitiakitanga. Those are kind of phrases which is aligned with my values. So that quotation is about, we are talking about the human right content. So those people arrive under humanitarian aspect. And what it needed is that they did not get protection from their country of origin. They did not get a proper treatment in a refugee source country. But now arriving in resettlement countries, we as a service providers, we as a community, we as a country, our obligation is to retain the right to them by giving them what has been taken through the journey. So when we welcome them with the hospitality and the beauty of New Zealand, they will feel they're really their home. And that is what every one of us to do your bit, and they will feel they are most welcome. So that's where that quotation comes from.
Oh, it's really meaningful.
Yeah.
So we'll be back after a short break. Welcome back to ARCC Resett TV Talk. Now, we'd like to ask a few questions, interview to the guests whose stories were featured in our new resident magazine. So, Asif and Teba, where are you originally from and how did you come to New Zealand?
First of all, I would like to thank Team ARCC and especially Point for hosting this show and also allowing us to share our stories. And for, most of all, I'm going to thank to ARCC for featuring our stories and allowing us to say giving the target audience not hear from us, not about us. So we want to tell our stories by ourselves. And for your question, I'm originally from Pakistan. I was born there, raised there, and when I was about 19 years old, I had to leave my country, and then we moved to Thailand. And in Thailand, we spent around 4.5 years. We were asylum seekers. First, we were asylum seekers. After a couple of years, we became refugees there. And then later on, we got resettlement to New Zealand. And then we came to New Zealand after 4.5 years. And for Taiba, I think it's a different pathway.
Yeah.
So,
Did you guys come together?
no. I came with my family, my parents, my brother's family, my sister's family. But the time that when I came here, I didn't even know Taiba. So she can tell her own story. How did she came to New Zealand?
So I'm also from Lahore, Pakistan, and my story isn't as complex as Asif. I was just got married to Asif and came here through visa, and I'm living with Asif and his family here. That's my story, simple.
So you guys took the different pathways to
Yes,
come to
different
New Zealand.
pathway. Because when we were in Thailand, and I was talking to myself like, okay, when this is going to be over, when I'm not going to be a refugee anymore, all of my life problems will be gone. And then my mom told me, you are in a transit and you're reaching a destination, and when you reach your destination, your life will start from there. Don't say that here all of your life problems. So this is where you're gonna start. And then when we came here and the challenges that we faced bringing Taiba to New Zealand, and I can recall my mom's advice that this was the time that our life's gonna start.
And then finally it succeeded that
Yes.
she's here.
At that time, we were thinking that hard time was not gonna be over. But now I think it was very short period, and now we
Yes.
are living a happy life.
And I think the best thing about the hardship that you face, and once you overcome it, it always reminds you that you were together in that hard time, and you always remember the good part of it.
Yes.
And the painful part is gone. And you always say, okay, oh, we were talking all night. Like sometime I used to sleep at 4 in the morning or 5 in the evening, because in Pakistan
Yeah,
it's
time
still at
difference,
day.
yes.
And waking up around 11 or 12. So yeah.
That's a beautiful story. Romance, love story. How about you, Faisal? Where are you originally from, and how did you come to New Zealand?
First of all, thank you very much for ARCC to have our story in the magazine and show New Zealanders and the new arrival how we succeed in this country. And we love this country. I'm originally from Sudan. I'm saying Sudan because I'm not going to say South Sudan. 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 Because we are feeling this, until now we are the same.
Yes.
We are just nothing. This is a politician things down there. This is what one of the things let us split Sudan. For me, is the separation what's happening. And I fled Sudan in 2010 with my family, because I admit to take my family. It's my wife, my 2 children, Yusuf and Fatima, and we go to Malaysia. In Malaysia, I don't plan to come to, because Malaysia is open country. I do my company down there, my business there. It's a tourist business. It's very good in Malaysia, and we start and we do it good. And suddenly we have some problems, so we register under the United Nations, and the United Nations give us asylum seeker in the beginning. After that, we became a refugee in that. And after 1 year, we transferred to New Zealand. They say to us, go to New Zealand, because you don't have the choice. And we love New Zealand. The whole family love it from the day one.
Yes.
That's the beauty of the family with you, and they love the place. Because they don't love Malaysia, but love New Zealand. That's the successful things, and I love it so much. That's it.
Thank you, Faisal.
Okay, I think before Point as a host to ask me a question, I'm going to turn it back to her.
My turn.
Take back the question.
Because the cover is beautiful.
Yeah.
Picture here is
It's point.
So rather for me, for her to ask me, is me to ask her. The same question. Where are you from, and how did you come to New Zealand?
Yeah, this is a good question.
Now it's my turn. First of all, I'm very proud to my stories to be featured, my family story to be featured in very first news resident magazine launched by ARCC.
Yeah.
And I'm originally from Myanmar. And I came here as a student at first, and then after I finished my master, I went back home, and then during that time I met my husband. So after we got married, I came here with him under the partnership visa.
Yeah.
So I've been here technically for about 7 years. Yes.
So you guys met in Myanmar.
No, we met
Met
here
here.
while I was studying.
While you were studying
Yes,
in
because he has been here for like 17 years.
So then you went back to your
Got a
country.
long distance relationship. Came back here.
Wow.
And you must know
You must
more.
be very brave.
Did you do it here or there?
Back in Myanmar.
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's good.
Okay, now today in our first volume of New Resident Magazine, When We Become New Zealanders, I think I need to acknowledge to say that we have, it's not a coincidence, but to be honest with you, I think this is what the highlight about New Zealand as a country. We have 2 people here, and what joined them together is about love. And the place they found love in New Zealand.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Aloha.
For me, before I ask, because I need to explain in the context why do ARCC has been taking your story at the same time you are a staff of ARCC. I think our audience and community members as well, they need to understand this. I think over the years when we have something within the ARCC to educate public or introduce ourselves to New Zealand society, many people fear because the forced migration where we come from is really associated and attached with a lot of challenge, and people fear for their life here and also their loved one back home. So what we have done within ARCC, we have approaches that if we do it to ourselves first, then we show it to our community, it's okay. If I can do it, you can do it too. That's why the concept or the approach has been adopted for many years. And that in particular is that to ensure our community also they are safe, because part of our obligation as an organization to protect our community while we are helping them. So this time ARCs were lucky to have 4 of you, which is we have one story from Afghanistan. Hajababa is not here, is one of ARCC board, and he have his story here. And also we have Faisal Fargali, it's a story, Asif and lovely wife, and also Punj was husband and son was in the magazine. But before I ask you a question, because I now I'm going to be the host of the show. For those audience who are listening, the same question, which is point asked before. I am originally from South Sudan, and the time I come to diaspora, Sudan was one, but has been divided in 2011, where South become independent country and Sudan become the all motherland. So my journey start from Khartoum to Damascus, Syria, and I've been in Syria there for 5 years, where I seek my asylum. And then I come to New Zealand, and since I come to New Zealand, I've been able to just try to navigate the way how New Zealand will be able to give my dream of what I'm looking for. So on my arrival, I was with my wife and my 2 daughters, and New Zealand gave me 3 beautiful children, Kiwis. My family, this is the way I used to say this. It's not African large family, and it's not a Kiwi small family. It's a medium family. Yeah. So Taiba and Asif, Pon and Faisal, you have lovely stories here. We call it success stories of resettlement. And for you being new resident of New Zealand and also being a citizen of this country, what is important is that as a citizen, how do we exercise our democracy within democracy country? That's why we are giving back to the community. We are educating them about the thing that they've been through. So I will ask each one of you, you can give me 3 highlight things about the successful of your story. So I will start with husband and wife first. As if I have a question for you, just if you can tell me or tell our audience about your story, why it's become a successful story. Just 3 highlight things that you can share with us.
That's not a very easy question. Because if you're telling me to pick 3 from hundreds of things that we've achieved and we've got success here, the first thing is that I would say is faith that brought me to New Zealand. And when we came to New Zealand, and then we had our Pofuri in Mangere, and then we have over Farewell, and a lot of different ethnic people were there, and they used to give us 5 minutes before we leave the Mangere and talk about our experience there. So I was watching Colombian, they had a very nice ethnic dance they've done. I saw some Syrian and Syrian people. They're sharing their culture. But when they invited me into the stage, and I told them that I'd like to apologize. I don't have any ethnic cultural dance or anything that I would like to share, but I would take this moment to thank the New Zealand government and the New Zealand people for giving us chance to call Aotearoa New Zealand home. Today it's not about myself, it's about you guys. Because there are 90 million refugees worldwide, and only 1%, less than 1% people get resettled in all over the world. And within those 1%, only at that time 750 people getting resettled to New Zealand. So I would say that it's the God's plan that had me coming to here. And when we move out of the Mangere, and the best thing that we got is we got social housing, Kayonga Ora house we've got. And I was with my parents and with my elder brother, and that's I think the one of the first thing that I've got. And the second I would say is that the opportunities that I received in New Zealand, and because when you come here, you have a mindset, okay, I'm coming to New Zealand, and what's gonna happen is that I'll get a very big job, and I'll have a house, car, everything. So this is the expectation anyone. But the best thing is that I was in reality that even though I have skills, I have education, the thing I was lacking is the experience in New Zealand, and I think New Zealand qualification. And I met a person, one of my community member. He says, he gave me one advice, is that in New Zealand, it doesn't matter what you know, it's whom you know. Then what I've done is that I started doing voluntary with the ARCC and with Red Cross, and started to meet people. And the best opportunity was this is meeting Aban in one of the orientation, and he said that we have a monthly meeting, just come join us, meet people. And then where I met Aban, and if I wouldn't have met Aban there, if ARCC wasn't there, I don't think I'd be sitting here and sharing my story with you guys. And sorry, I'm just taking a bit long. And the third part is, I think, Taiba's journey. Within my journey is our journey, and I would want her to share her third part. I don't want to take all the time. I want her
I
to
think
share.
that the third part is the best part. And for me, like, my life completely changed when I moved from Pakistan to New Zealand and living with Asif and his family. And I would say that my life was very different in Pakistan. I was there on the religious base, educational base, social base, and here I have a lot of more opportunities. Either it's for work, for study, and for also healthcare, and they are different. Like, my life completely changed here, so it's been an honor for to be here and living with a lovely family.
And also having a son, which was born in New Zealand, and I'm very grateful to Taiba for giving this gift.
That's us, not me.
And the healthcare, and I think the healthcare that in New Zealand, I think is one of the world's best healthcare system. Is even Taiba is on a visitor visa, and legally she was not entitled to have a free medical. But when she got pregnant, and the government given her choice that, okay, we will take care of you. You don't need to even spend one penny on the healthcare of Taiba and your oncoming wife. And when he was born, and the midwife was there, even it was a lockdown. And one thing that I want to bring is our culture. We brought our culture here as well. What's done is that after Akash was born, my lovely son, my mom and my sister-in-law, for 2 months, they told Taiba, you're gonna sit on the bed, just relax, don't worry about anything, we'll take care of you and we'll feed you and feed you. And that's the best part about having a family around here.
Thank you, Asif and Taiba. Really, you have a very rich story. I think many of our audience, they are hearing this, and this story will not happen if it's not New Zealand. So we are proud to be New Zealanders. That's why we're having a new resident magazine, When We Become New Zealanders. This is When We Become New Zealanders, magic happened. Just be tuned, we will come back. Thank you for listening to us. Thank you for listening and watching us, Reset TV Talk. We are back again. My question now going to lovely Point to reflect on her story. So, Point, can you tell me 3 highlights about your success story, please?
Yeah, I'll make it short to the point. Of course, New Zealand has given me and my family safe place to live for, and a lovely place with local neighborhoods and everyone around us. So if you think of it, that's also a success life here in New Zealand. For me, the first one is receiving a higher education here in New Zealand. It's the country where the education standard is high, and that's really a lovely opportunity to get this kind of education. And also I was an international student when I studied here, but New Zealand government give a full scholarship to ASEAN countries, and then I was one of the scholarship recipients. So that's also very kind of New Zealand government to provide students who are around the world who wants to pursue their education. And then the second thing is having my lovely family. So I met my husband here, and now we have one son. And then after 6 years of marriage, our highlight success is we bought our first home. So that's one of our life goal. And then we achieve here in New Zealand. And then the third part is we have our own business. We establish our own business, and it's been running stable, and then that's also a success for our family. And lastly, I'll put one more because it's important, that I am working at ARCC, where I could contribute to the community, which I've learned, and then also share my experience, and also support all the community members when or whatever they are in need. So those are my success.
Thank you so much, Point. It's really to the point. Now I'm coming to Mr. Faisal Faragale.
Oh,
Man, I need 3 highlights of your
yeah,
story.
let's go to the point then. Okay, the first thing, it's the win when we come here. It's the family. All the family is here with me. This is the first things. The first things. The family love the country. That's what I'm happy from the first.
Proud of that.
Yeah, very proud of that. The government give us a state housing when we arrive, and we start to look after ourselves and our children on the school. They start the good things. The school, they start from primary. That's what's gonna be good benefit for them for the future when they get to work or something like that, because the curriculum of the New Zealand is very high standard. And the second I'm happy for it is my son is in university in uni now. This is very successful. We are planning that. We are investing in our kids in New Zealand, and we have this talking to the families who's arriving and sitting here. Invest in your kids in New Zealand education.
Right.
Yeah, because this is the best education in the world, and it's very easy. Just look after them, advise them, take them there. The good things also the health, because I have a lot of issues when I come here. They give me health, very high health. very care. And I diagnosed with MS, and I have one injection every month. That inject, if I'm in other country, is the money. When I go back to Saudi Arabia in this
When you went for a visit.
for a visit, when I take the medical with me, all the whole hospital come and watch the even the doctors and the managers. How, from where you bring this? Like, "Oh, this is free. Give it to me from New Zealand." They say to me, there nobody afford to buy it because it's very expensive.
Yes.
It's just for the high people, not for the.
So you become the high.
The other things, living in state housing is very nice, and the neighbor is very lovely neighbors to me, and I'm advising the community of our community. We come from background, we share our things with the neighbors. So sometimes I have the neighbors is not okay. No, all the people have the same mindset. If you come with happiness to them, they will get back to happiness to you. So this is my advice. New Zealand, we love in New Zealand, and we are happy here. To me, and the other thing, the last thing, I'm working with ARCC to give back my experience and everything's what happened to me. I'm working as a community support worker back to the community and advise them and talk to them about how to live in New Zealand. Thank you very much, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Faisal, for our audience. I think I need to summarize the success story of Ponch, Asif, and Taiba and Faisal. I think there are 5 important elements of resettlement success. One is the state housing. I think that is one of the important things. And I think every New Zealander who are watching Reset TV Talk, I think what we are saying here on your behalf and on behalf of our government as well, those kind of the process or element of social services is very important. The housing. The second is about education. I think it's one of you guys being highlighted is important. And the third is health, which is many of you appreciate the system of health, how you've been treated and how you access those services. And the fourth one is about employment opportunity. And I'm glad that you guys highlight how ARCC being able to give you the opportunity where you will be able to assist those who need your help.
Yes.
And the fifth one, which is every new person arriving in New Zealand, they're having the expectation, the bigger expectation that everyone try to achieve their own goals, which is means the networking which you are establishing in New Zealand here is to become important. And what I mean by networking, I think Asif was saying, and it doesn't matter what kind of qualification you have, but it's about who you know. It's not about what you know. So those 5 elements that are most important in resettlement. So networking and being able to reach out to people to help you. I think this is what New Zealand is good at it. And through ARCC Reset TV Talk, I think we will be able to continue to highlight the success of the resettlement within New Zealand from our own voice. And from here, also I can add my success. It's not different from what you guys have achieved. Myself, I have experienced health systems where I have my 2 children having a little bit complication of when they get birth. And the health systems helped me, and that's something I'm not going to forget. Secondly, thank you for people who challenge me when I arrive in New Zealand here. In the social welfare system about New Zealand work experience, New Zealand qualification. And then I tend that not to point my finger to them, but I was looking on the rest of the finger coming back to me. So I pursue my opportunity, and I have not high education, but I have education in a way that I am able to provide, I'm able to obtain the right tools for the right things I do. And that is what for us to say, being a product of New Zealand, it doesn't matter you're born from overseas or you're born in New Zealand. What the matter is that every single of us, if you have a New Zealand dream, please try to come out from your comfort zone. And if you don't know the way, ARCC will show you the way. Hear from us, not about us.
As I understand, this new resident magazine is not just one-off. So can you tell me more about upcoming magazine launch?
Yeah, the new resident magazine, when we become New Zealanders, is we issue 2 a year. So the first one, the first volume, which is we have launched in June the 20th, World Refugees Day. And the second one will be in December, when we are going to have the Diverse Ethnic celebration end of the year. I think that the year where you guys arrive in New Zealand.
Yes.
They arrive at the same day and also they attend the
Yes.
event.
Wow.
So we are hoping to launch the second magazine on that day, but we will take opportunity. Anyone in the community you have success story you want to share with other New Zealanders as a way how we introduce ourselves to New Zealanders and our journey. At the same time, also how do we empower our new residents who are coming to resettle permanently in New Zealand. So we do ask everyone, if you have a story, please reach ARCC. We have community engagement officer, we have community support coordinator, we have community support worker, and also you can reach us on our Facebook, our website, our social media. So we need to hear from you. Your story will save many people's lives about how successfully we are resettling in New Zealand.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Aban, and also Faisal, Tiaba, and Asif for being part of this ARCC Resett TV Talk today. And also we would like to invite all the community members to be part of the success resettlement stories to share with the new residents coming to Aotearoa, New Zealand as an inspiration. So stay tuned.
Sorry, I've got a question.
Yeah.
So those people who are watching and if they're interested in the new resident magazine, how you guys can reach them?
Yes, definitely. We will have our contact at the end of this Resett TV Talk with our phone number, email address, and also office address. So if you would like to be part of this success stories to be featured in our second new resident magazine, you are more than welcome to contact us.
Also, we missed something, I think it's as if, thank you for your question. We are also looking forward to our partners who will be able to support us with printing of the magazine, because we have 2 versions, one electronic and other one for the printing. And we're looking for a sponsorship. If anyone, individual, company, you're outside there and also you want to extend your business or your brand to be well known in our community, we're looking forward if you can be able to sponsor our magazine. That will be really lovely. So we have 2, one print out hard copy and we have electronic as well. So reach us.
Yes. So stay tuned for the launch of our second new resident magazine in December.
As many of you who've been engaged with ARCC Resett TV Talk, we have every month episode. So the next episode is going to be a general discussion about community issue. So I know Faisal has been dealing a lot with the Asian community, point the same thing, Asif the same thing, myself as well, and the rest of ARCC staff who are not here. We will be able to come and discuss some of the issue which is many might be interested if you will be able to support. And we're looking forward for the next month to discuss about the current issue in the community. Yeah. And if you have issue as well, please reach us as well. So that will be part of the topic as well.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's the next time is ours.
us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok.